The Mountain Lions Pathfinders from Vancouver, Canada, like to do a mission trip every year. In August of 2016, the Mountain Lions teamed up with ADRA Canada to build smokeless stoves in a remote village high up in the mountains of Peru. For generations in Peruvian villages in the Andes, the traditional way to cook meals has been to build a small fire in a stove made from clay and straw. The kitchen would fill up with dust and smoke and would be inhaled by everyone who might be in the room.
When my children were young, I would feed them food from our farm. Whenever I would cook the meals, there was always a lot of dust and black smoke from the fire. My children would gather around me as I cooked. They would often get smoke in their eyes. As my children grew older, they did some of the cooking and would have to work in a room filled with smoke. We have been cooking this way ever since I can remember, right up until now.
Wherever this method of cooking is practiced, there is a high incidence of respiratory illness. Children who may already be suffering from malnutrition often die after contracting pneumonia. Constant exposure to smoke-filled rooms only adds to this threat. For over 10 years, ADRA Peru has been working to remove killer smoke from homes by introducing and building brick eco-stoves that are vented with metal chimneys. As it only takes a day to build a stove, this makes a great short-term project for groups that want to combine an international travel adventure with a meaningful contribution to the improvement of people's lives.
For our outreach trips, we always like to make sure that we're not just coming in as a one-time thing and leaving the people with no support after we leave. So we knew that ADRA does such a great job of being in the country, and other groups have been there before us and after us as well, so that we know that the project is going to be able to keep going. We know that ADRA knows best what the people need and how to support them, so they can explain to us how best we can help.
To get to the project site, the Pathfinder group flew into the beautiful ancient city of Cusco, high up in the Peruvian Andes. Living life at sea level in Vancouver and then landing in Cusco at over 3,000 meters above sea level can be jarring to the system. The Pathfinders were given instruction to rest quietly for the first 2 days while their bodies adjusted to the altitude. ADRA Peru has a beautiful youth camp about 80 kilometers from Cusco, with lovely rooms and a cafeteria with cooks who are skilled at preparing excellent Peruvian cuisine. Close to the village where the stove building project was planned, this was a perfect spot for the ADRA Connections group to take up residence for the next week. While taking their mandatory rest, they had the opportunity to visit an Adventist church in a nearby village, as well as an amazing archaeological site nearby. They were now ready to get started. The first day, they were given a crash course on how to build eco-stoves. A local contractor and some experienced ADRA staff gave them step-by-step instructions on what they would need to do to build a quality, long-lasting stove. The next day, they were ready to put their new skills into action. As they ascended the hill to the quaint rural village of Yauca, It felt like they were stepping back in time to a long-lost era.
I knew we were going to a small village in Peru, but I guess I didn't realize it would be like stepping back, several hundred years in time, with the sheep and the bulls and the people in the traditional costumes still, and it was just quite an eye-opening experience for all of us.
We've been building eco stoves in multiple houses around this little village of Yaukat. We've just been inserted into each little house and kind of designated to set up a little place where we can build the stove, have the chimney.
The process of building a stove starts with having a flat base on the floor so that you can start, put down your first layer and build up from there. And most of our houses had a uneven ground, so we had to dig them out or fill it in with smashed bricks and stuff.
We had to do the mixing of the sand and cement, which was a very manual process, often done in wheelbarrows and buckets. And we had to customise too, which was really interesting. Sometimes we'd build a base that was 2 or 3 bricks high, and then a slab followed by another 2 or 3 bricks high with a hole for them to put their wood in and burn, with a top made out of concrete with holes for them to put their pots on. And then of course we had a stove chimney that went up through the roof. And those roofs would vary between sort of grass and mud through to tin or nothing, because they hadn't built it yet.
For us, we've had different working conditions, so some houses have been really big and we've been outdoors, but others have been really small rooms. Every day we have to adjust to the different environments.
When I was a young girl, my parents were very poor and I suffered a lot. I wanted to go to school and get a good education, but my parents needed me to work on the farm. I never learned how to read or write. That is why I'm still working on the farm, even now at my age, from early morning right into the evening. Still, we have never had the money we need to build a good brick stove for our house. We are still using the old clay stove. It's always very dusty and smoky in the room where I cook. It makes it difficult to prepare meals. I am so grateful for the young people who have come here from Canada and built this new stove for me. They have come from so far away and even put their own money into building this brick stove for me. This is really going to improve our lives.
We have been married for 40 years. We have 3 children. 2 are here in Cusco, but 1 is very sick in a hospital in Lima. We are supporting his expenses as best we can. Even in our old age, we continue to raise animals to help pay for his treatment. 4 years ago, I was in a car accident that caused me to go blind.
I am 80 years old. I live here with my husband. We've always been farmers, but we're not able to go out to the field anymore. My husband is very sick. He's been in bed now for the last 3 months. The doctors say that he has lung cancer, but he never smoked tobacco. We think that it might be because of the smoke from the stove all of these years. I am so grateful to the young people from Canada who have come here to help me build a brick stove. I really don't have enough words to express my thankfulness.
I can hardly wait to try it out and see what it is like to cook with no smoke. I am so grateful for my new stove and for these wonderful people who have come all the way to my country to give us this kind of support. Thank you so much.
It is so amazing to see a group of young people coming all the way from Canada to help us. We know that it is a great sacrifice for them to come here, especially with the high altitude. We know that it can be hard to adjust. We are so appreciative of their sacrifice. Every time we look at these kitchens, it is going to be a great reminder of the Canadians who came to help us.
The help came at just the right time, as our old stove had broken down. I'm so happy to have this new stove. I can't wait to start cooking good meals for my lovely husband.
The best part for me, I would say, is just seeing the joy on people's faces. There was this one time when this lady just kind of came up to us and she gave us each a hug, and it just felt like a real connection was made. and I probably won't forget that for the rest of my life.
My favorite part so far of this Peru trip, we climbed up this hill and we went to the school playground. A bunch of us took out our souvenirs and then we started giving them out, but it kind of got hectic and it was very fun for me because I felt like a celebrity. Just seeing the joy in their eyes made me happy, and seeing that they're gracious for just the little things.
Yeah, I've enjoyed getting to know the kids, and I've enjoyed even getting to know my fellow Pathfinders better, really soaking in the culture of Peru.
Visiting all the little kids and giving them gifts and seeing them like light up, and it's just been like really amazing. So when I was building one of the stoves for one of the people here, I could see it really made a difference in their lives, and they were very thankful, and that just made me feel really blessed and good.
After all of the work was done, it was time to do some touring around this amazing region of Peru. First up was a trip to the world-famous city of Puno, on the shores of Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world. Just a few kilometers off the shore is where the Yuras people have built floating villages on islands made out of reeds. Here, the Connections group learned about their interesting culture and attended an Adventist church that has been built right out on the islands. Many of the Yuras are Seventh-day Adventist. The following day, the group boarded a train for an amazing trip through the Andes to visit one of the most famous Inca sites in the world, Machu Picchu. The huge stone walls, built without mortar, remain a world wonder to our day.
I would definitely recommend going on a mission trip with ADRA. It's been great here.
I already had an expectation that I was going to enjoy it, and it already has surpassed all my expectations.
This trip has been life-changing. It's something I'll never forget. I definitely want to go on more mission trips in the future. And yeah, it just brings you closer to God spiritually and just in every way possible.
I would definitely recommend this trip for others because it's such a blessing and it's just an amazing experience.
It just opens your mind and helps you make a bigger difference.